It was a bright morning in the city. The sun was shining softly through the tall buildings, and the streets were busy with people going about their day. In a quiet part of town, where the houses were lined up with neat gardens and clean sidewalks, a woman sat in her car. She was not just any woman. She was an important person who worked for the government. She was an FBI agent. Her name was Lisa Washington. Lisa was proud of her job. She worked very hard to become an FBI agent. It was not easy. She had studied for many years and faced many challenges along the way. As a black woman, Lisa knew that she had to be stronger and more careful than others. Sometimes people judged her before they even knew her. She did not give up. She wanted to help make the country safer and fair for everyone. That day, Lisa had finished a meeting and was driving back to her office. She had a lot on her mind, but she was calm and focused. The car was parked on the side of the street near a small park. The area was usually quiet, but today a few people were walking by, enjoying the warm weather. Lisa looked out the window and smiled. She liked moments like this, when the world seemed peaceful. Suddenly, she noticed a police officer walking toward her car. Lisa did not think much of it at first. Sometimes officers would check on parked cars or ask if someone needed help. As the officer came closer, Lisa felt a little uneasy. The man was wearing a dark uniform with a badge, and his face looked serious. He stopped next to her window and looked down at her. "Ma'am, do you know why I stopped here?" he asked. In a firm voice, Lisa was surprised by the question. She was sitting quietly in her own car and had done nothing wrong. She answered politely, "I was just parked here for a few minutes. Is there a problem?" The officer's eyes narrowed. "We've had some reports of suspicious activity in this neighborhood," he said. "Can I see your ID?" Lisa felt a little tight in her chest. She knew that sometimes, when people saw her as a black woman, they would treat her differently. She had learned to stay calm and respectful, even when others were unfair. She reached for her wallet and showed him her FBI badge. "I'm an FBI agent," she said quietly. "This is my identification." The officer looked at the badge, then back at Lisa. His expression did not change much. "I still need to know what you are doing here." Lisa took a deep breath. "I'm here on a work break. I'm not doing anything suspicious." The officer stepped back a little, but did not relax. He seemed unsure. Lisa could see that he was. Having trouble accepting what she said, she kept her hands on the steering wheel and looked at him calmly. She wanted to be clear that she was not a threat. For a moment, the street felt very still. People walking by glanced at the scene, but no one stopped. Lisa thought about how strange it was. Here she was, an FBI agent, someone trained to protect people and enforce the law. Yet the officer was treating her like a stranger or even a problem. She remembered the many times in her life, and she had been judged because of her skin color or her gender. Sometimes even when she wore her badge and uniform, people did not believe she was an agent. She had to work twice as hard to prove herself. But Lisa was proud of who she was. She knew her worth, and she was not afraid to stand up for herself. The officer finally said, "I'm going to call my supervisor too." "Verify your story," Lisa nodded. "That's fine. Please do." As the officer pulled out his radio, Lisa thought about the bigger picture. She knew this was not just about her.
Ow.
Many black people in the country faced similar or worse treatment. It was a part of a bigger problem that affected communities everywhere. But for now, she stayed patient and quiet. She wanted to handle the situation professionally. While the officer spoke on the radio, Lisa looked around. She noticed the park nearby, the children playing at a distance, and the elderly couple sitting on a bench. Life went on for everyone else, but she was caught in a moment that felt unfair and difficult. A few minutes passed. The officer lowered his radio and looked at Lisa again. "Everything checks out. You're free to go." Lisa nodded slowly. "Thank you." She started her car and pulled away from the curb. As she drove, her mind was full of thoughts. She thought about her family, her friends, and the work she did every day. She felt a mix of emotions, relief, sadness, and determination. Lisa knew she would never stop fighting for respect and equality. She hoped one day no one would be judged by the color of their skin or how they looked. She wanted to see a world where people could trust each other, no matter their race or background. That day, as Lisa drove through the city, she carried with her a quiet strength. She was more than just an FBI agent. She was a symbol of hope and courage for many people who faced unfair treatment. And she was ready to keep moving forward, one step at a time. After the brief but tense encounter, Lisa thought the day would get easier. She had faced challenges before, and she knew how to keep calm. But soon, she would face another test, one that showed how deep some misunderstandings and biases could go. Later that afternoon, Lisa had parked her car again, this time near a busy street corner. She needed to stop for a moment and check some notes on her phone. It was part of her job to keep track of important information, and she took it seriously. As she sat quietly in her car, focused on her screen, she did not notice a police officer walking nearby. The officer was a man named David. He was a local police officer. Working his regular shift in the neighborhood, David was known to be careful and serious about his work. But sometimes he acted quickly without fully understanding the people he met. That day, when he saw Lisa sitting in her car, he felt something was not right. David approached Lisa's car window and tapped lightly. "Excuse me, ma'am," he said firmly, but not angry. "Can I talk to you for a minute?" Lisa looked up. Surprised, she rolled down her window and smiled politely. "Of course, officer. How can I help you?" I had looked her in the eyes and said, "You're parked here for a while. We've had some reports of people causing trouble in this area." "What are you doing?" Lisa took a moment to think. She knew the question was normal, but there was a tone in David's voice that felt different, like he was already suspicious. She wanted to be clear and honest. "I'm an FBI agent," she said, showing him her badge with pride. Working on a case nearby, David glanced at the badge, but he did not seem convinced. Instead, he frowned slightly. "I don't see why an FBI agent would be here alone. Are you sure you're telling the truth?" Lisa felt her patience tested. She had told him clearly who she was. But now, David was questioning her words. She stayed calm, not wanting to make the situation worse. "Yes, officer, I'm sure. If you want, you can call my office to confirm." David hesitated, then nodded. He pulled out his radio and made a quick call to his supervisor. Lisa waited quietly, her hands resting on the steering wheel. She thought about how strange it was that she had to prove her identity, even with her official badge in hand. While David spoke on the radio, Lisa noticed people walking by watching the conversation. Some looked curious, others looked uneasy. She wished things could be simpler, that people could trust each other without extra questions. After a few minutes, David ended the call and looked back at Lisa. "Okay, your story checks out," he said, his voice softer now. "Sorry for the trouble." Lisa nodded slowly. "Thank you, officer.
I understand.
You're doing your job. But please, remember that respect is important for everyone." David looked away for a moment, then nodded. "Again, you're right. I didn't mean to cause any problems." Lisa smiled gently. "I know. It's not easy for anyone." As Lisa drove away, she thought deeply about the encounter. It was not just about one officer or one moment. It was about a system and a society where assumptions often shape how people are treated. She knew David was not a bad person, but he was part of a larger culture that sometimes made quick judgments based on appearance. Lisa remembered how many times in her life she had to prove herself to teachers, to colleagues, even to strangers. Being a black woman meant she often faced unfair treatment, even when she was the one in charge. It was tiring, but she refused to let it stop her. That evening, Lisa met with a close friend, another FBI agent named Marcus. They sat together in a small cafe, sharing stories and supporting each other. Lisa told Marcus about the day's events and how the officer had treated her. Marcus listened carefully. "I'm sorry you had to go through that," he said. "It's frustrating when people don't see who you really are." Lisa nodded. "It makes me think about how many people don't get the chance to show their true selves. How many people are judged before they speak." They talked for a long time about the challenges Black professionals face every day. They discussed the need for better training for officers to help them understand bias and respect diversity. Lisa said, "If only more people could see beyond skin color and titles, if only respect could be automatic." Marcus smiled. "We have to keep working. For that, we have to be strong even when it's hard." Lisa felt encouraged by her friend's words. She knew the fight for fairness was not easy, but she was ready. Her experiences made her stronger, and she was determined to help create change, one small step at a time. As the night grew darker outside the cafe windows, Lisa felt a quiet hope. She believed that every conversation, every moment of understanding could help build a better future. For herself, for Marcus, and for everyone who wanted to be seen and respected as they truly were. After the encounter with Officer David, Lisa tried to focus on her work. She knew that her job was important, and she could not let moments like these distract her too much. But inside, she felt a mix of emotions, frustration, sadness, and a quiet strength that kept her going. A few days later, Lisa was at her office, reviewing files and preparing reports. Her work as an FBI agent was challenging. She often dealt with difficult cases, and every day required her full attention and skill. But her mind kept drifting back to the day she was stopped and questioned by the officer. She thought about the way he looked at her badge but still doubted her. She wondered if he saw her as a Black woman first, and only then as a law enforcement officer. It was a painful thought, but it was not new to her. That afternoon, Lisa received a call from a friend who worked in the police department. His name was Mark, and they had known each other for years. Mark was a kind man who believed in justice and fairness. He wanted to talk about the incident. "Lisa, I heard what happened," Mark said over the phone. "I'm sorry you had to go through that." Lisa sighed. "Thank you, Mark. It was difficult, but I handled it." Mark said, "I want to understand better. Can you tell me what the officer said? What you felt?" Lisa explained everything, the way the officer approached her, the questions he asked, how he looked at her badge but seemed unsure, and finally, how he called for verification. She spoke honestly about how it made her feel, how it reminded her of the challenges Black people face in law enforcement. Mark listened carefully. "I appreciate you sharing this," he said. "I want to help make things better. Maybe we can talk to the department about training. We need to change how officers see people." Lisa smiled quietly. "That would be good, but it will take time," Mark agreed. "Yes, but it's worth it." After the call, Lisa felt a little lighter. She knew that change was possible when people talked openly and honestly. She decided to write a report about her experience, not to complain, but to help others understand what can happen and why it matters. In her report, Lisa wrote about the importance of respect and trust between police officers and the communities they serve. She explained how bias, even if unintentional, can hurt relationships and safety. She gave suggestions for training that could help officers recognize their own assumptions and treat everyone fairly. A few weeks later, Lisa was invited to speak at a meeting with police leaders and community members. To improve communication and understanding between the police and the people they protect, when Lisa arrived, she saw a room full of people. Some looked curious, others serious. She took a deep breath and began to share her story. She spoke clearly and calmly about her experience with Officer David. She talked about the feelings it created and the bigger issues of race and respect in law enforcement. The room was quiet as she spoke. Some people nodded, others looked thoughtful. When she finished, a police chief stood up to speak. "Thank you, Agent Washington, for your honesty and courage," he said. Your story helps us see what we must do to improve. We need more conversations like this." Lisa felt hope growing. Inside her, she realized that her experience was not just a personal story, it was a chance to make a difference. She could help create a future where officers and citizens trusted each other more, and where respect was automatic. After the meeting, a few officers approached Lisa. One said, "I didn't realize how these things could affect someone. Thank you for helping me understand." Another officer added, "We want to do better. Please tell us how." Lisa smiled. She knew it would take work, but she believed in the power of understanding and kindness. Back at home that evening, Lisa thought about the path ahead. She knew there would be more challenges, but she felt stronger. Her identity as a black woman and an FBI agent gave her a unique perspective, one that could inspire change. She hoped that one day young people growing up would not have to face the same doubts and fears she had faced. She dreamed of a world where people were judged by their actions and hearts, not by their skin or their clothes. Lisa's journey was far from over, but with every step she took, she was breaking barriers and building bridges. She was more than an agent. She was a voice for justice, respect, and hope. After the meeting with police leaders and community members, Lisa felt both hopeful and thoughtful. She realized that while change was possible, it would not happen overnight. She understood that many people carried deep beliefs and habits that were hard to change. But she was ready to keep trying in the days that followed. Lisa found herself thinking more about what had happened with Officer David. She wondered about his life, his work, and his experiences. She wanted to understand how someone who wore a badge and was supposed to protect could also act with doubt and suspicion toward her, especially when she had clearly shown her authority. Lisa believed that understanding people was the first step to changing hearts. She decided to reach out to David through the police department. She hoped to talk with him directly, not to blame or accuse, but to share her feelings and listen to his side. When they finally met, Lisa noticed that David looked nervous. He was not sure what to expect. Lisa began by thanking him for doing his job and for speaking with her. She told him how the encounter had affected her, especially the feeling of being doubted despite her badge. David listened carefully. He admitted that he had acted out of habit and fear. He explained that sometimes officers face dangerous situations and their training tells them to be cautious. But he also said he was sorry if he had hurt Lisa's feelings. Their conversation was honest and respectful. Lisa spoke about the importance of seeing people as individuals, not just as stereotypes or potential threats. David shared his own experiences and challenges as a police officer. They agreed that training and education were important. David said he wanted to learn more about bias and respect so he could be better at his job. Lisa promised to help by sharing resources and ideas from the FBI. After their talk, Lisa felt a new sense of connection. She realized that change came not only from rules and meetings, but also from real conversations between people. When they saw each other's humanity, trust could grow. Lisa also spent time with her family that week. She talked with her mother, who had raised her with strong values and pride. Her mother told her, "Lisa, you are a leader. Your courage helps many people. Never forget who you are." These words stayed with Lisa. She knew that being a black woman in a powerful position came with responsibility. People looked to her as a role model. She wanted to use her voice to inspire others to stand strong and keep pushing for fairness. Lisa also thought about the younger generation. She remembered how hard it was for her to believe in herself when she was young. She wished schools and communities would teach respect and understanding from the start. One day, Lisa was invited to speak at a local school. She met with students of all ages, sharing her story and lessons about courage, respect, and fairness. She encouraged them to believe in their dreams and to treat everyone with kindness. The students listened with wide eyes and open hearts. Some asked questions about her job and her experiences. Lisa answered honestly and with hope. After the talk, a young girl came up to Lisa and said, "I want to be like you someday." Lisa smiled warmly. "You can be. Believe in yourself and keep working hard." These moments gave Lisa hope that the future could be better. that respect and fairness could grow stronger with each new generation. But Lisa also knew that challenges would come again. Sometimes unfair treatment would still happen even to her. But now she felt ready. She had learned that strength came from patience, understanding, and standing tall in the face of difficulty. As she looked out the window of her home that night, Lisa thought about her journey. From a young girl dreaming big to an FBI agent, facing hard truths to a leader helping others see the way forward, she smiled softly, knowing that every step mattered. Her voice, her courage, and her kindness could make a difference. Lisa's story was not just about one encounter or one person. It was about the power of respect, the need for change, and the hope for a better tomorrow. Time passed, and Lisa continued her work as an FBI agent with even more determination. The experience with Officer David and the following events had changed her in many ways. She understood more clearly the importance of respect and kindness, not just for herself, but for everyone. Lisa often thought about how her story might help others. She knew that many people had faced similar situations, or worse. She wanted to use her voice to encourage change, to inspire people to see each other with more understanding. One day, Lisa was invited to a special event, a community meeting, focused on building better relationships between law enforcement and the people they served. The room was filled with officers, community leaders, and citizens of all ages. When Lisa stood up to speak, she felt a wave of calm strength. She shared her journey from being stopped unfairly to working for change. She talked about the pain of being doubted because of her skin color and gender, but also about the hope she held for the future. Her words touched many hearts. People listened closely, some with tears in their eyes. She spoke not just as an agent, but as a woman who believed deeply in fairness and respect. After her speech, several officers approached Lisa. They thanked her for her honesty and for helping them see things differently. Some shared their own struggles and hopes for change. Lisa smiled warmly. "We all have a part to play," she said. "When we treat each other with respect, we build a stronger, safer community." In the weeks that followed, Lisa worked with police departments to develop new training programs. These programs focused on understanding bias, respecting diversity, and building trust. Lisa helped design lessons that showed officers how to listen carefully and see the whole person, not just a label. She also met with young people in schools and community centers. She told her story and encouraged them to believe in themselves and stand up for what is right. Lisa wanted them to grow up in a world where respect was the rule, not the exception. Lisa's efforts began to make a difference. Police officers started to change how they approached people. Community members felt safer and more respected. Slowly, trust grew between groups that had often been divided. But Lisa knew the work was never done. She understood that change takes time and patience. She also knew that many people still faced unfair treatment. But she believed that every step forward was a victory. Her journey taught her many lessons. That courage means speaking up even when it is hard. That respect is a gift everyone deserves, and that understanding each other's stories can heal wounds. Lisa looked back on her life with pride. She was proud of her work, her identity, and her role in helping others. She knew she had faced unfairness, but she had never let it define her. She hoped that by sharing her story, she could inspire others to be strong and kind. She believed that together, people could build a world where everyone was seen, heard, and valued. And so, Lisa continued forward as an FBI agent, a leader, and a voice for justice and respect. Her story was a reminder that no matter the challenges, hope and change are always possible.